Welcome to the Fort Myers Beach Good Neighbor podcast and the Estero Island Historic Society series, where we preserve and share the stories that shaped Fort Myers Beach, tracing the island's journey from Calusa roots to fishing village to beloved tourist destination. In each episode, we gather local voices, forgotten moments, and living memories to keep Estero Island's past bright on the shoreline of today. So settle in and listen closely, because on this island, even the sea breeze has a story to tell.
Welcome back to the Estero Island Historical Society series. We're moving along in the history here, and we're moving into the 20s, I believe, right?
Exactly. The 20s were, I think, a defining moment in the history of our island because it was when most of the early development occurred. The Florida land boom was going on at that time. People were coming down. The Dixie Highway opened up from the Midwest to get people down here. People had money, they had cars. So everything was happening, particularly on the East Coast. And the coastal areas were the first ones to develop. But the problem with Fort Myers Beach was we didn't have a bridge.
Little details, right?
Little details. If you can't get here, you can't develop.
Right.
So Thomas Phillips and Jack Delisle were two of the early developers on the island. They saw the potential of what it could be. And they went to the county and asked for money for a bridge, and they were turned down. So they didn't let that stop them. They formed their own bridge company. They sold bonds and stocks or whatever. They earned enough money that they finally got a bridge built in 1921.
Wow.
It opened in May of 1921. 100 cars went over the first day. 50 cents a car.
Yeah.
That was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right?
So the beach had finally opened up, and Delisle and Phillips were ready for it because they both had a casino.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was built on that day, but I'm sure they were
ready.
They were ready.
Wow.
So he had his casino was where the Gulf Shore Grill was.
Yeah.
And then Delisle's was down at the end of Connecticut Street.
Interesting.
So they were casinos, bathhouses, kind of thing, and the restaurants.
Making it a destination for the
right.
Right.
So once people could get here, you could drive on the beach. Eventually the road went to the beach hotel.
Okay.
It stopped there.
Okay.
So if you wanted to go further south, like down to Connecticut, you had to go on the beach. And the beach was large enough.
It was wide enough.
I think I read somewhere back there you could have 3 or 4 lanes of traffic on the beach.
Wow.
Right.
A lot of beach room.
Yeah. Without renourishment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We got to nourish
Yeah.
now to get that much.
So the bridge was built, like I said, in May, and then there was a hurricane in October. So it damaged it, but didn't knock it out completely. And then in 1926, we had another hurricane.
And we will do a session with you on hurricanes in this
absolutely.
area.
Yeah.
There's a
So
lot
that hurricane did quite a bit of damage to the road and to the bridge, but they patched it back together. 1928, another hurricane,
Wow.
and that pretty much,
Yeah.
Sounds like what we've gone through recently.
Yeah. we needed to get a new bridge. So in 1928, a new bridge was put in.
Was there a lot of damage? I mean, we'll get in there with the hurricanes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
There weren't, you got to remember there weren't.
There was
as many
nothing here,
people.
so there wasn't a whole
Wasn't
lot
much
to,
development.
Yeah.
And it was all at the north end of the island.
Okay.
So
yeah, everything was there. I think the beach hotel was damaged very much.
it was set back somewhat.
Yeah, there were some cottages at Red Coconut that were damaged. So there was some, but the development started then. We had the casinos. There was all kinds of hotels. I mean, 3 or 4 hotels.
Wow.
Port Washington Hotel opened up down where Margaritaville is.
Okay.
And then we had the beach hotel. And Phillips did Silver Sands cottages. Remember those?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They were over 100 years old when Ian took them out.
Yeah.
And Big Shell came later.
Yeah,
Much
Big Shell didn't come
later.
until the 60s.
Yeah.
But these were the first. He did that. He did the Gulf Shore Grill. What was the Gulf Shore Grill? And his big thing was the arches. They were built in 1925. I think he started them earlier. And they were the entry to what he thought would be a wonderful development called San Carlos on the Gulf.
So, and for our listeners that aren't familiar with that, where exactly is that?
That
Or
is
was that?
right where Bonita Bills is now,
Okay.
and the marina, diversified yachts. That's where the arches, and there's even a plaque right there now that shows you these were where the arches were. You had to go through the arches to get to the bridge. But Phillips' point was San Carlos Island was not part of the beach. It was a part of the mainland until 1926 hurricane. That separated it. So his idea was he would have this wonderful development. Every lot would be on the waterfront. He built the seawall, which still exists in some places. You can still find it.
Construction.
Yeah. So he had a seawall there. He had wonderful plans, and he was instrumental in getting a road, because originally the road, to get to the beach, you had to go down McGregor to John Morse Road. You had to take John Morse Road to Bunch Beach. Then you got on the beach if there was low tide and drove to the bridge. So it was not an easy way to get here. So Phillips he was bound and determined to get a road from, well, we call it Miners Corner. Now it's the intersection of Gladiolus and McGregor. Up where Kmart, what's there now?
I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Things have changed.
Yeah, things have changed.
Things
But anyway,
keep changing.
it's that intersection there where Summerlin hits, where McGregor hits.
FSW there?
It's before that. It's,
Right.
Rondeos is there, the pizza place,
Yeah.
right by Target, I guess that's right.
Yeah. Okay.
That was, so he built the road from there straight to the beach, or he had it built. The county did help on that one. And that's what really opened the whole area up, because you could get here in 30, 40 minutes from Fort Myers, which you can't do today.
Right. And I think from the time the first bridge opened in 1921, very shortly thereafter, we had our first traffic jam. And as much as people complain today about, oh, the traffic is so terrible in season, were always traffic issues pretty much from the beginning on the beach. Whether it was because there wasn't much infrastructure and there weren't that many roads, you couldn't go very far, but it's been a perennial problem. And I think one of the themes of Fort Myers Beach is cycles, boom and bust, sudden influxes of tons of people, and then a very quiet off season. That's kind of a theme. The other theme, I think, from the beginning has been fishing, because before the shrimp were discovered, there was mullet fishing. That was probably that was the first major fishing industry, and it was a big business. Now, mullet is a very strong tasting fish, and it's bony, right? It's not my favorite. No. So usually they smoked it, and I don't mean they smoked it. They put it on racks, smoked it and dried it, and then it was palatable, and they made it into, I guess, fish cakes, mullet dip.
Really?
It was a popular item, and it was the industry in the early years, in the 20s, probably 30s, and for a few years after that and tourism. Yeah,
tourism came in the 20s, as early as the 20s. As soon as that bridge came in, people started coming down here. And
so when did the toll go away?
I think the toll went away in 1928. They replaced that bridge with a swing bridge.
Right.
All right.
And it was built in Germany. There's rumor that it was secondhand from Jacksonville, but I'm not sure that's true.
They got a lot of bridges up there.
Yeah. So they brought that bridge in, and it was kind of an interesting bridge because it swung out. It didn't swing up. It wasn't like the drawbridge went up. This went out. And it was there for 50 years.
Wow.
And it was a great, I think it was the entrance to the island with the arches and then that bridge and the shrimp boats over there. It was just iconic fishing village. And
you're coming into paradise.
Yeah.
What an entrance.
Sleepy fishing village.
But the bridge would get stuck. It took two, it wasn't electrified until 1950. So it took two men to physically push it open.
Wow.
They had a crank, I think. Right?
Yeah,
they had a
cranked
big
it,
wheel and
and
had
then
to
it
crank it open.
went out, and the bridge tender had a little place to live
Right.
at the end of the bridge. But it would get stuck.
I
And
can imagine.
it caused. I mean,
I
can you
would've gotten
imagine?
tired.
Shrimp boats would come and go whenever they wanted. I mean, in the 50s, we had 250 shrimp boats on San Carlos Island.
Yeah.
So that bridge was opening and closing, and every time it opened, it was a half-hour wait because it had to open. Bridges
Had to be cranked open, cranked shut.
closed, and
Yeah.
traffic would back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the hotels and casinos were going to be the mainstay of
Yeah.
tourism, and that's why the Gulf Shore and the Silver Sands and places like that, the casinos that then got wiped out. But the Gulf Shore continued on until Hurricane Ian in
Yeah.
various forms, and it started as a casino, and then they rented rooms. There was a bathhouse. There were rumors, which are unsubstantiated, that maybe they rented rooms by the hour for other purposes at some time. But it was a very popular place, and the restaurant, as we all know, was a mainstay
Yeah.
until Hurricane Ian took it away.
Is there plenty of times?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's over 100-year-old building, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think there were 4 buildings. This was 1921.
This cottage.
This cottage was 1921. Silver Sands was 1921. Gulf Shore was 1921. And there was another cottage at the end of Madison called the Pine Cone that was 1921.
Wow.
And I think we're the only one left.
Yes,
Wow.
that's right.
Yeah.
And this was probably between the 5th and the 7th building built on the
Wow.
island, and it's still here.
Incredible.
Pretty great.
That
After
is-
all we've been through. Yeah.
Good construction, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Built solid. Original floors and walls. Yeah.
So the 3 hurricanes and the Great Depression pretty much put a kibosh on the
Close.
growth, on the bust, on the boom. It became a bust, and things just stopped. So next time we'll talk about the 30s and the 40s, which were a time of reconstruction, regrouping. It was a quiet time.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we had the war
We got
years,
the
so
up
it
and
kind of
down.
went,
Yeah.
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 The cycles,
Yeah.
the eternal cycles, just like the tide. Comes
Exactly.
up, it goes down.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what we live here. But it's funny that a lot of things haven't changed.
Right.
Traffic on the
The
island,
traffic,
get in on and off.
the density has changed.
Yes.
But yeah.
Very good. Any last words for the 20s?
Well, are going to be doing a little more in-depth discussion of the 20s on March 21st for our Diving into the Decade series. So
Nice. Okay.
come by and view it. We've got all the pictures and stuff up to whatever we had left is now on display. So come in and see what we got.
I love it. I love it. I'm just fascinated by, learning about this and being able to share it with our listeners. But it's good stuff. And thank you guys for doing this and putting it together and presenting
you.
it to all of us. So we will see you next time in the 30s, right?
Right.
Hopefully our temperatures will be a little warmer. by then,
Yeah. It doesn't feel like a tropical paradise today.
right?
Yeah.
Soon.
Soon.
And then we'll be complaining it's too hot, right?
Exactly.
Thanks for spending this time with the Estero Island Historic Society, where every story is a tide that brings our island's past back to shore. If today's episode sparked a memory or a question, we'd love to hear from you, and we hope you'll visit us at the museum and check out our events on Fort Myers Beach as we keep exploring the journey together. Until we meet again, may the island's history walk with you, one footprint in the sand and time. To hear more episodes in this series, go to EsteroIslandHistoricSociety.com or FMBGoodNeighbor.com.